On this Saturday night, travel plans derailed on planes, trains and automobiles. From the snarl stranding some Via Rail passengers.
They've run out of food on the train.
And the stray dogs with no way to get to their new homes.
We're devastated. We're disappointed too.
To airlines that keep canceling flights. Yet another restriction.
Some of our worst nightmares are coming true.
The Taliban's latest decree to diminish women's rights in Afghanistan. And from newsmakers and moneymakers.
I don't think so.
To memorable moments. Mike Armstrong's quirky take on the past year from A to Z.
Global National with Farah Nasser. Reporting tonight, Colleen Christie.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Extreme weather is creating a challenging Christmas Eve for many Canadians. Environment Canada has issued weather warnings for most provinces and territories. Tonight, thousands of people are without power in several provinces. Airports across the country are still dealing with delays and cancellations. Hundreds of Via Rail passengers were stranded overnight between Toronto and Montreal. And there are now flood concerns in BC as the temperatures rise and a wallop of snow turns to water. No matter where you are tonight, there's a good chance the weather is playing a role in your holiday plans. Neetu Garcha has our top story.
Let me take that puppy, you get another one?
In northern Manitoba, these volunteers are known to rescue dogs. Now this group says it needs a Christmas miracle. After more than 120 dogs from Winnipeg were on board a truck on their way to their new homes in Newfoundland and Labrador, the winter storm hitting communities across Canada forced them to turn back from Thunder Bay, Ontario on Thursday.
We're devastated. We're disappointed. What we're looking for is somebody that, maybe has a private plane or some company, an airline that can do this.
Founder of Rescue NL, Heather Ballard, says there's an urgent need to transport the dogs.
I would say it's a crisis, actually. There's an overpopulation of animals because a lot of them are not spay and neutered. Some of these communities, are fly in, fly out only. And the temperatures are so frigid that the longer it takes for these dogs to come to Newfoundland, the longer those other dogs are waiting, and it can be fatal for them.
The group is hoping someone, somewhere, will be able to step in and help them fly to their new homes. And while hundreds of flights, especially out of Vancouver International Airport, had to be canceled this week because of the snowstorm, stranding some passengers for days in the terminal.
The experience has been awful. First time flying on my own as well.
I had a friend who was stuck here for a couple days on Monday and Tuesday.
The airport's CEO says things are much better on Christmas Eve.
Some cancellations are coming through because of weather events in other parts of the country and other parts of the continent. But for the most part, we are operating as normal here at YBR.
As BC's lower mainland now contends with heavy rainfall. In Quebec, nearly 300,000 hydro customers woke up on Saturday without power after heavy winds and a flash freeze overnight.
It's unfortunate, but definitely there will be customers without power Monday and Tuesday.
A similar situation in New Brunswick, where a winter storm caused one of the largest province-wide power outages in decades. And for Saskatoon, Environment Canada has issued a snowfall warning leading into Christmas morning, which is when these volunteers hope the dogs they're trying to help will somehow have been able to make it from Winnipeg to their new homes.
We do need a Christmas miracle to make it happen.
In Newfoundland and Labrador, Neetu Garcha, Global News.
The storm has also trapped hundreds of holiday travelers overnight on trains between Ontario and Quebec. Via Rail says several trains running between Windsor and Quebec City were cancelled or forced to stop due to power outages and downed trees. Passengers reported being stuck for hours with dwindling food supplies and out-of-service bathrooms.
I'm really ready to go home, and it's supposed to be a 5 to 6 hour ride, but it turned out to be more than 20 hours, so it's really frustrating.
Via Rail has apologized to its passengers, saying those affected will receive a full refund. But the troubles don't end there. A CN rail wagon has derailed near Grafton, Ontario. Via says because of that, it's now cancelling all of tomorrow's scheduled trips headed out of Toronto to Ottawa and Montreal. Well, plenty of American travelers are also going nowhere fast tonight because of brutal winter weather. Even people in states with sunshine and no snow are affected. Jennifer Johnson explains why.
On what should be a Merry Christmas Eve, millions of Americans are still struggling to get to their loved ones. Airlines continue to cancel flights as blizzard conditions, high winds, and bitter cold temperatures make their final pass through the U.S.
It's been canceled, delayed, moved to another flight, going to a different airline. Now I'm just like, will someone please get me there?
Over 15,000 flights were either canceled or delayed on Friday, and cancellations continued into Saturday. Even travelers leaving sunny Los Angeles couldn't get out because so few planes could make it in from other parts of the country.
I thought I was safe. I'm in California and I'm headed to Hawaii.
As the bomb cyclone moved east, whiteout conditions closed highways and roads. A 50-car pileup led to at least 4 deaths on the Ohio Turnpike.
This is a stark reminder of what can happen when you get behind the wheel and try to drive in bad weather conditions.
High winds and Arctic cold air have knocked out power to almost 2 million Americans. Low temperature records are being shattered as far south as Florida and Texas.
It's cold out here today.
Thousands of homes in the Dallas and Houston areas are without heat and electricity as the state's power grid struggles again.
I felt like we were in the freezer. It was really, really cold. You could see our breath when we talked.
Others are getting frozen out on their Christmas celebrations. With so many cancellations and rebookings, flights through Monday are booked solid. Frustrated ticket agents have been unable to help frustrated travelers find alternative flights.
I was in this line for like 2 hours, and I still wasn't able to even make it to the kiosk, so I'm just calling it.
The wicked weather Grinch has stolen Christmas this year for many Americans in this once-in-a-generation storm. Jennifer Johnson, Global News, Washington.
On this Christmas Eve, horror in Kherson. Coming up, the Russian attack in Ukraine that's left at least 10 dead. And how the Taliban is expanding restrictions on women and girls in Afghanistan. In Ukraine, Russian shells pummeled the southern city of Kherson, killing at least 10 people and injuring dozens more. The barrage came as Ukrainians were beginning Christmas festivities. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky posted several graphic photos of the wreckage, saying, "This is not sensitive content. It's the real life of Ukraine. It's killing for the sake of intimidation and pleasure." Today marks 10 months since the start of the Russian invasion. Violence has escalated in Kherson since the Ukrainian army reclaimed the city in November. Women's rights in Afghanistan have been dealt another blow. The Taliban has now ordered all local and foreign non-governmental organizations to bar female employees from work. The move comes days after female students were banned from universities. Global's Mackenzie Gray now on the latest attack on women's rights and freedoms.
Afghan women dispersed by water cannons as they protest their ban from universities. But the chants of "education is our right" could not be drowned out. A protester yelling, "Cowards, cowards," as they were forced to leave the site. "We have come today to demand our right to study and education," said one woman. "They forced us to come into this narrow street, then used water cannons on us. They're scared of our voices. We want our rights." But the Taliban haven't just stopped at universities. They've now barred female employees from working at non-governmental organizations. The Ministry of Economy said the ban was necessary because they claim some women did not follow Islamic dress code.
Clearly, it has been one horrendous decision after the other. And so clearly some of our worst nightmares are coming true.
NGOs have played an essential role in Afghanistan since the Taliban retook control last year. The United Nations estimates nearly 25 million people require humanitarian assistance, with 12 million people receiving food from the UN World Food Program. Their special representative to Afghanistan called the ban a clear breach of humanitarian principles. For NGOs like Canadian Women for Women in Afghanistan, who have helped train more than 10,000 Afghan teachers, the ban represents a significant challenge.
I believe that women are really in an open prison for the past 16, 17 months, and today Afghanistan became an open grave for women.
Global News reached out to the Minister of International Development to ask what the federal government would do to help Canadian NGOs who work in Afghanistan, but Colleen Harjit-Sajjan's office didn't provide a comment.
Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa. Thanks, Mackenzie. A massive COVID-19 outbreak in China has become the world's largest. According to reports, estimates from the Chinese government's health authority state nearly 37 million people may have been infected with the virus on a single day this week. China is seeing a dramatic surge in COVID cases since it dropped its strict restrictions following widespread protests in recent weeks. A global national tradition just ahead, a look back at the year that was from A to Z. As 2022 winds down, it's impossible not to compare how this year started to how it's closing out. Some things haven't changed. COVID is sticking around, but a lot has happened. Some good, some bad, some downright ugly. So now a global national tradition. Mike Armstrong's reflections and rundown of the past 12 months in alphabetical order.
It is impossible to look back at 2022 and not compare how we started the year to where we are now. We're not completely over COVID, but at least we're heading in the right direction. So, A is for able. We're able to go to restaurants, movies, and get together over the holidays with friends and family. That's progress. So here's the list.
B is for bounce. Gas prices are at their lowest price all year. Hopefully they don't bounce back up. Remember last summer?
These prices don't make sense.
A lot of people got hurt.
C is for crypto. We could have gone with collapse.
I got 10 forks right here, baby!
Turns out this Super Bowl ad was on the nose.
It's FTX.
Even though it was supposed to be tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, I don't think so.
D is for delivery. The Pope visited Canada in July to deliver an apology, even referring to the evil of residential schools. E is for Elizabeth. Canada and the Commonwealth lost a queen of 70 years. She was mourned and celebrated.
I'm feeling up and down. Sad, joyful.
F is for Freedom Convoy, whatever side you're on. We can all agree it's kind of sad that the part of Wellington Street in front of Parliament has never reopened.
G is
for Gorbachev, the last leader of the Soviet Union, passed away this year, one of the men responsible for ending the Cold War and the nuclear arms race, a Nobel Peace Prize winner, and it was earned. H is for Hurricane Fiona. It battered the Bahamas and then attacked Atlantic Canada. By the time it hit ground here, it was a tropical storm, but it still ended up as the most costly extreme weather event ever for that part of the country.
These might as well have been Lego toys. There was no chance.
Times are tough now, so we gotta be very careful.
I is for inflation, now slowing, hopefully. It's been tough on a lot of people.
Demand is unlike anything we've ever seen.
We, the jury.
J is for Johnny Depp. There were details in that case I could have done without, but it was kind of hard to look away.
We must find and implement.
K is for King Charles. It doesn't quite roll off the tongue just yet.
Worst experience I've ever had.
L is for luggage. It was kind of the year of luggage problems and canceled flights.
Well, delayed and then delayed again and then canceled.
Airports struggled, and in fact still are.
You do somewhat expect some delays, but I didn't expect it to be like this.
I'm happy to confirm.
M is for Musk. Elon may be proving that just because you're good at some things doesn't mean you're good at everything.
What else can I do?
N is for no more. Maybe we could take just like a few years without superhero movies.
Yes, yes, yes!
Now, O is for overturned, which is what the U.S. Supreme Court did to Roe versus Wade. Not quite the settled law some justices claimed in their confirmation hearings.
Today, I had to look people in the eye and turn them away.
P is for pig heart. Doctors were able to implant one in a human. Great news, but I'm still hoping to avoid it. Q is for quickly, which is how most thought the Russian invasion of Ukraine would go. It has not. What it has been is absolutely brutal. R is for refugees. We were on the ground as millions fled Ukraine. Mostly women and children, not knowing where they were going, only that they couldn't stay at home. S is for Sri Lanka. Now, this one represents all protests. They took to the streets in China, and of course in Iran. Well, in Sri Lanka, they forced mass resignations, and at one point actually occupied the president's home. T is for terribly, which is how things are going in Haiti. A country desperately in need of help, but no one can quite figure out how to give it. U is for Uvalde, the site of a mass shooting that left 19 children dead. A nightmare that should never happen, but does, over and over.
I am sick and tired of it. We have to act.
V is for volcano, a phenomenon as fascinating as it is powerful. There were a few this year. This was Hawaii.
It's like the goddess returns.
Classified documents relating to nuclear weapons were...
Now, W is for what was he thinking? There was Trump taking home top-secret documents, Djokovic ending up in detention in Australia after a supposed mistake on his visa application, and of course, the Will Smith slap.
I am confident.
X is for ex-prime minister. The UK had 3 different ones in not even 2 months.
Hasta la vista, baby. Thank you.
And liftoff.
Y is for yonder, not a word we use often.
So here it is.
But the James Webb Telescope let us look further across the universe than we've ever seen before. And finally, it's usually tough to find something for Zed. Not this year. We'll go with Volodymyr Zelensky. He has led his country through incredibly difficult times and become for his people a symbol of courage, confidence, and hope. When you're trying to wrap up a list like this one, he's exactly the sort of inspiration you look for. Happy New Year. And the best of the holidays.
And happy holidays. Our pets celebrate Christmas next. And that is Global National for this Christmas Eve. A few weeks ago, we asked to see your furry friends in the festive spirit, and you came through. So, back by popular demand, our second annual Christmas Eve montage of holiday-themed pet photos. Without further delay, here it is. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you again tomorrow. I'm Colleen Christie for Donna, Farah, and all of us here at Global National. Merry Christmas and have a wonderful night.